Zach, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, Nick.
Yeah, glad to have you. As I just mentioned, everybody always, when I get on a podcast, like we finally get to talk to the pizza guy, and they're all excited. Well, I'm excited today because we get to talk to the Wing King. So, how are you today? How's everything going in your world?
Doing great, doing great. Excited about our launch tomorrow, our new spicy and original chicken sandwich that's coming out tomorrow on National Hot
Fantastic.
Spicy Day.
Awesome. Zach, would you just bring it right to our listeners today? Tell us who you are, what you do, and kind of get right into it for us.
Sure. My name is Zak Omar. I'm the CEO of Atomic Wings. It's a New York City wing restaurant a quick service restaurant that actually started in 1989. We were the first wing restaurant in New York City. And since then, we've expanded pretty aggressively throughout New York and nationally now. So, we have over 14 different flavors, 14 unique flavors. We've been through all the rough times with New York, and we're still here. And we're looking to grow even stronger from this point on.
So, how many locations do you currently have?
We currently have 21 locations. We just signed a 10-store agreement out in Nevada and Arizona, and we look to have another 16 contracts secured this year.
So, do you franchise the businesses? Is that correct?
Correct. It's 100% franchised.
Do you own any of the actual locations?
I do not. Well, we first started, and when I first purchased the company in 2016, I did own the First Avenue location, which I had sold off to one of my franchisees currently.
So take us through the beginning. How did you get in the wing business? I'm sure you got a great story. Could you just take us right through the beginnings?
Yeah, it's it's pretty lengthy, but in 2013, I was actually diagnosed with leukemia. And I was treated at Memorial Sloan Kettering. During that time, my father had a glioblastoma brain tumor, so he had passed away while I was hospitalized. And growing up, my father was always my hero. I mean, when people in school would ask, "Hey, who's your role model?" and I never knew what to say. I always wanted to be cool and say, "Hey, yeah, Michael Jordan," or but in reality, I always knew it was my dad. He came over here in 1980, fled the Soviet Union war in Afghanistan, and he basically opened up a mobile fried chicken truck outside of Wall Street, One Chase Manhattan Plaza. And he had lines wrapped around the block. And I remember working there as a 12-year-old and just seeing how he interacted with guests and how he interacted with customers everywhere from a janitor to a vice president of the bank. And it was always pleasantries being back and forth, going back and forth. And it left a lasting impression on me. So while I was fighting leukemia and eventually overcoming, and beating it, my brother and I decided to pay homage to my father and buy the Atomic Wings brand in 2016. So that's really how we got started. And thinking even further back, I remember being on the rides home when we would shut down shop, and kind of me and my brother would be mixing different sauces together and creating flavors and dipping our chicken nuggets into them. And, as the day wrapped up, and that's why I've come to really appreciate the different flavors that we have here at Atomic Wings, all 14 unique flavors that we do have. And it's kind of gone hand in hand with my childhood and how my father raised us.
Were you part of the group, I guess, or part of the franchise before you decided to buy everything?
So I wasn't actually. Adam Lippin, who was the founder of Atomic Wings, he started out in Duff's Bar up in Buffalo, working out of college. And, they're the ones that are known to have created the Buffalo Wing. And after college, he opened up the first wing restaurant in New York City, Atomic Wings. But after about, 25 years of being in the business, he just got burnt out, and, an opportunity came about where he wanted me to be a master franchisee. And, we talked, and I tried the product. The product was amazing, and I loved it. I've tried all the other wing restaurants as well before diving into this one. And I just loved the product. It was fresh, never frozen. They had 14 unique flavors. and it's something that I really could get behind. You have to really believe in a product to want to be part of it, and that's what it was with Atomic Wings for me. So we talked and eventually came to agreement on buying Adam out.
And what did you do before the wings?
Before Wings, I'm also a Dunkin' Donuts and Baskin Robbins franchisee. But before that, I was working on Wall Street as an IT salesperson.
So you definitely believe in the franchise model then.
I absolutely do. Yes. They give you all the tools you need to succeed, and it's really a great starting place. The brand recognition goes really far.
So when you bought in and became the master franchisee and bought the brand, was there other franchisees or was it company owned when you bought it?
There were other franchisees existing, correct. So at that point, when I had purchased the company, there were about 3 brick and mortar locations. Today we have over 11 brick and mortar locations and about 10 co-branded locations.
What are the other locations?
Co-branded, so we're inside of
Gotcha.
bars, for instance.
Okay, gotcha. So what have you seen from 16 to like pre-COVID? What did you see as your challenges taking over a company and building the franchise back up?
Yeah, the some of the challenges that we faced were getting the back of the house in order. For instance, your supply chain management, distributors, a lot of those contracts needed to be renegotiated so that our franchisees were getting the best price available on the market, and so that they could be a lot more profitable. Implementing a lot of the processes that I learned being a Dunkin' Donut franchisee, branding, making sure that all the stores look the same, making sure that they're selling the same products, and just honoring, the authenticity of our brand. So going through retraining our staff how to bread our boneless wings and, how to actually cook our products, making sure that everyone had the recipe manuals in place. So those were a lot of challenges that we faced initially, just getting the back of the house in order before we can aggressively pursue expanding and reaching out to new franchisees.
Do you still own Dunkin' Donuts as well?
I do, correct.
And,
My brother and I.
and how many do you own?
8 across multiple states.
Oh, wow. So I would say, I'm a guy, I'm pizza business through and through for the last 4 years, almost 25. I grew up with Domino's and Papa John's with a lot of my experience, so definitely very familiar with the franchise model. And then breaking out into my own business, and we've grown 5 stores in 8 years now. And I guess I always get that question about wanting to go to be a franchise. Like, do I want to franchise it? And there's just so many different things that go into being a franchise and then having franchisees. Would you talk about the relationship you have with your franchisees?
So we've before we started to expand well, we have just started to actually put together a sales team and attract new franchisees. But before that, we've grown organically. We've grown through word of mouth. And a lot of franchisees, I look at them as friends, and the relationship we have, it's kind of like a small family. I know, who they're, I know that they're married. I know they have children. I'm in their stores. I'm talking to them on a daily basis. They're able to text me at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and ask me questions. I'm very involved and tied to the success of their restaurants, and I want all of them to be successful and profitable. And sometimes that wears on you. It's time consuming, and initially you kind of take it personally. It's like, hey, why is this store not doing as well as the other ones? Are you putting in the time? Are you putting in the effort? What's going on? You're reading the reviews, and when a bad review comes in, you're like freaking out. And you take that to heart initially, and then you kind of got to step back a little bit and look at it holistically and look at the entire group and put metrics in place so that you're able to help and coach the franchisees that aren't doing too well and get them up to par. So I think it's a partnership, and that's how I look at it.
Well, I think you said a lot of good things there. When you're in the any business, you're in the wing business. you're really in the people business, right? Like
Right.
that's what it comes down to. And I can hear that, that how much you care about your franchisees, and it comes through and what you're saying. What changes did you make to the franchise when you took over?
So the changes that we made, we changed our logo. We've changed a couple of sauces because we felt the names of a couple of our sauces, just because we felt they were a little out there, and times are changing, and everything. You got to be sensitive to all types of people and all types of groups. So we changed a couple of names of our sauces, and we changed the branding. We changed our agreements with our vendors, um, and we've just made it a lot more corporate and a lot more, we hired a PR company to make sure that, you know, our brand is out there, and we're getting recognition for who we are. And that's the first wing company in New York City, and, something that New Yorkers could be proud of, and hopefully take that across America and share our flavors with everyone.
How do you like working with a PR company versus working with a marketing company?
So they do a little both. They do a little both. Our PR company is able to just get us a lot more, I guess, a lot more publicity. It's a lot more expensive. I'll tell you that, Nick.
Yeah, that's for
A
sure.
lot more expensive. So, so that's very important. But they're great. They're great to work with. They really, you know, at the end of the day, I have control over what the messaging is going to be, and that's still important to me. They're not creating any false narratives or anything that I know that I can't back up. So at the end of the day, messaging still is with us, and that's really important to me.
I know what I found was always trying to find like the next thing to be able to use as a sales machine and build the sales in the restaurant. And when I landed on the PR company, man, it was like night and day. I wish I would have had a PR company. Probably couldn't have afforded it at the beginning,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was a big difference for me. I would say anybody that's kind of on the fence, if they think they should hire a PR team, it was well worth it for me. It sounds like it was for you as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's imperative. I mean, initially I kind of try to do things all by myself,
Yeah.
and it's just hard. You don't there's not enough hours in the day to do that. You have to kind of concentrate on the things you're good at, and you know, you got to outsource some things that you're not good at. I was never good at art or being creative, so I got now I got the right people in place, and they're able to help not only myself as a brand, but not the brand itself, but the franchisees on a store level.
Now, when you had the Dunkin' Donuts and the Baskin Robbins, was there a point where you're like, you know what, I like being a franchisee, but I want to be the franchisor? Was that kind of where, like, you were
No,
like, I want to buy the whole company, or did it
yeah,
just happen that you got the right deal came
I,
in front of you?
yeah, I think it was the right deal at the right time, and things just falling into place. It was never, being a franchisee, I never thought, wow, I could be a franchisor one day. And it's really been a blessing, big learning experience for myself, and it's been a great ride, and I'm looking forward to keeping this ride going for a long time.
So I guess we got to talk about what we're in the middle of, COVID, what COVID's done to your sales, and just I don't know. I keep saying, financially we're okay, but man, it's an immense emotional train wreck. Every day trying to monitor employees who's been in contact with it and everything else, and trying to make sure conveying that we're trying to keep the customer safe, trying to keep the employees safe. Um, Not knowing when this thing's going to end. I mean, yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on a lot of things there. Uncertainty. When this first rolled out, no one knew what to expect. Restaurants, from Dunkin' to the pizza shops to the wing places. Employees were calling out. They didn't want to put themselves at risk. Um, you know, and you also as a franchisor was even, hey, how are my restaurants going to do during these times? We were in New York City at kind of ground zero. We really didn't know what to expect.
Mm.
So right away, something that I decided to do was I cut all the royalties in half. And some of the stores that really weren't, doing as well as the others, I stopped taking royalties altogether, just to make sure that, hey, they're going to be fine during these times and they can provide for their families. One less thing to worry about for them. And, fortunately enough for us, our model was takeout delivery. It's always been that way. We're a
Yep.
smaller footprint. And, we've done really well during these times. But we also understand there's a lot of people hurting out there. A lot of folks that got laid off, a lot of folks that, got sick. And, we've tried to give back. We've donated food to the hospitals and the first responders. We've done basically lined up in Times Square and given out free food to the homeless and folks that, that needed the help. So we've tried to give back, and I give credit to the franchisees for making all of that happen.
As this moves forward, do you think that it, as restaurants are able to open back up, does that, have you experienced yet where that hurts your sales at all?
I think once folks try our food, they really become fans, become loyal fans of our food. And I think it was an opportunity that otherwise probably wouldn't have presented itself in any other circumstance. So I think it does build some loyalty. Even with the other restaurants opening up, I do see a little drop in sales, but not, you know, not anything significant, or at least it shouldn't be, because I really feel that once folks do taste our food, they'll notice the difference.
Do you use third-party delivery drivers?
So our franchisees do a little both. They have some in-house and they have some third-party delivery people.
Do you use more than one? Like, do they use Uber, DoorDash,
Yeah,
other ones, or?
yeah. Grubhub, Seamless, Uber Eats are the big ones.
Okay. Yeah, I know that's always a hot topic.
Oh yeah.
Does Dunkin' use third-party delivery?
New York City actually did something great. They limited the amount of fees that these third parties can charge for during these times. So a lot of folks, they're only allowed to charge about 15% max if you're using their delivery guys. If you're not using their delivery guys, they're not allowed to charge any fees.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, I mean, that's really been helpful. As you stated, I mean, they were taking anywhere from 20 to 30%. And I know franchisees that were paying well over 100,000 in fees to these third-party apps. Imagine if that could go back to the franchisee's pocket. What a difference that would make.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's just always one of those things that as it's come on the scene, people go back and forth. It's a huge topic in the pizza industry because, really we're pretty much, us and Chinese were kind of feel like the only guys that delivered for a while. And then there's some wing companies around us that I guess do deliver as well. But for the most part, it was, pizza and maybe Chinese. And then you get third party and all of a sudden you get a steak delivered to your door.
Yeah,
And, we took a hit at the pizza industry, and a lot of guys swear they would never use a third party, but then I kind of think they felt like they were a necessary evil. And I think that's just any parts of the business. You just got to kind of adapt and change, right?
I mean, yeah, they invest huge amount of money into marketing and making sure that, everyone has their app downloaded on their phones. I remember back in my day when I wanted pizza, I'd have to look in the yellow pages and
Mm.
just look up pizza shop and call directly. And that's really how I look at them is they really are the yellow pages of today. Folks are opening up their apps and they're seeing a bunch of food places that they can order from.
Yeah, that's good. I never heard anybody describe it like that. That's real good. Yeah, you're spot on. And if you're not in there, you have no chance of getting ordered from.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. So you talked about some future expansion. Sounds like you've got some ideas for the next 6 months or year, but really, like, what's the overall 5 years, 10 year scope look like?
Yeah, 5 years, 10 year. I see us becoming a brand that's over 100 locations, spread across many different states. We're getting a lot of inquiries, not only domestically but internationally as well. It's really an exciting time to be part of the brand. We've had a lot of the bigger names reach out to us about buying us out, and being a brand with about 21 stores, it's kind of an honor to even be on their radar. To tell you the truth, but we've turned down those offers just because we see where we can go and we see where we can, where we're headed. I made a promise to these franchisees that we'd be the best brand out there, and I plan on keeping that promise. So I'm here fighting every day for them, and I know they're doing their part as well.
So what struggles have you had as a business owner, and what do you kind of see the differences of those struggles to the struggles of today with COVID?
I guess struggles as a business owner, I think everyone has the same. It's labor, finding finding the right employees in the restaurants, and making sure you have consistent people working there that are trained. And COVID hasn't made that situation better. You know, with with everything that's going on, I think there's less of a labor pool out there that are willing to come into restaurants or work at restaurants. So it's made it a little more tough on everybody.
Have you seen the unemployment with the way the government was giving the extra unemployment? Did it hurt
Yeah,
you at all finding employees?
I mean, yeah, I think people were making more than they were, working, especially if they're working part time. As you know, in the quick service restaurant, you have a couple of full time folks, and the rest are, you're filling them in part time workers, either college students or other folks out there that need a second job. And I think what was happening was they were making more, staying at home, and God bless them if they were, then that's great. But in terms of hurting the labor market, it absolutely did affect the labor market in terms of finding new people.
Did you give advice to your franchisees as far as the PPP loans go?
I absolutely did. So a funny story. One of my college friends worked at Chase Bank, and she's a business banker there. And what I did was I had all my franchisees reach out to her and kind of walk them through the process of the PPP and the EIDL. So it was a great help.
Have they made any effort yet for forgiveness, or is it still too early for them
I
to?
believe it's still too early. They're still kind of going through all their guidelines and getting those applications out. I know some of the banks had planned on getting those applications out by the end of this month.
It sounded like you're super proud of the 14 flavors. What else does the restaurant have on their menu that's unique?
So, in terms of the 14 flavors, that's really great. But we also do everything fresh. It's never frozen. So, to this day, our boneless wings are hand breaded by our staff. So they're actually
Wow.
cutting up pieces of breast, tenders, and breading them right there at the store. So it's really, cooked to order. So as you're coming in, you're getting a fresh product that hasn't been frozen. If you've ever gone to any other wing places, and I don't want to bash anyone, but they look like round nuggets, round hard frozen nuggets. And ours, if you come into our store, you'll definitely notice a difference. Um, and something that we're launching tomorrow is our new crispy chicken sandwich, which is going to be available in original or spicy, and also in our 14 flavors. So if you want a garlic parmesan chicken sandwich, a buffalo hot chicken sandwich, or a honey barbecue chicken sandwich, that's something that I don't think anyone else is offering right now.
And are those also fresh, and you're going to bread those? And
Absolutely, those are fresh, and they're going to be hand breaded as well.
without giving up your secrets, take us through your wing process.
That's a little difficult, but we do use a double fry process. As well as our wings are steamed before they're fried. So we do go through that. They do sit in a marination for about 24 hours before we begin the process. Our wings are naked. Our bone-in wings are naked. So if anyone has gluten allergies, 90% of our flavors are gluten-free as well. I get asked that question a lot about the gluten. And so our naked wings are gluten free, as well as our flavors. So we do use a double fry process, which helps with the texture and helps it become crispy and juicy on the inside.
How important is the oil?
Very important. Oil transfers on to the wing. So our franchisees are really good at it, and we're still, as a franchisor, I'm always looking into new products and new things to kind of help us apart in that department. But we change our oil about every 2 to 3 days.
And what kind of oil do you use?
We use a high quality oil. It's a soy canola blend, but it's really a high quality oil that is meant for higher temperatures.
Yeah, I always wonder, do the guys in Buffalo or New York in general, do they use a different oil than, the canola, or, how do they prepare them different? But, I appreciate you taking us inside that,
No, no
that kind of
problem.
idea,
Yeah, yeah.
So, do you have a favorite flavor?
I do. Well, I have two. So lemon pepper and Thai chili are my favorites.
And I guess the other thing is, as you're going through this process of becoming a new to owning the company, was there anything that really surprised you about owning the company that you didn't really expect?
You know, the many different hats that you have to wear. The negotiating contracts with different vendors, that was eye-opening. You know, getting folks on board and just having to follow through with their contracts, and and kind of getting everyone to play to kind of march in the same direction. You have different franchisees, different styles of ownership, and sometimes that could be a challenge, getting everyone to march in the same direction. But I think we've come a long way, and we're on that path now.
Do you have a lot of meetings for the franchisees?
We do. We communicate, via, now we're communicating via email, and text messaging because of everything that's going on.
Sure.
So I make sure that we're in constant communication. We talk very frequently, a couple times a week, whether it's through text message, phone calls, emails. We're definitely in constant communication.
Do you plan on building the Dunkin' franchises as well?
So my brother has kind of taken the head role over there. We've kind of, split off our tasks, and I've decided to focus on Atomic Wings, and he's done a great job of focusing on the Dunkin' side and growing that part of the business.
It sounds like a lot of your inspiration came from your father. Is is there certain lessons that you picked up from him? I would definitely say from the sounds of it, it sounds like he was a hard worker and that was a
Yeah.
lot of it. But there has to be more, right?
I mean, he always, I was working on Wall Street, and I was making over about 200,000 a year.
Okay.
Doing well. I love the job. I mean, I was wining and dining and taking out clients, and it was an amazing job working on Wall Street, being out of college in your 20s. It's a fun time. And I remember him saying to me, "Hey, you're never gonna be where you want to be working for someone else. You need to be your own boss." And that kind of stuck with me. Is that um, that's where I'll find my happiness. That's where I'll find time to do things that are important to me and my family.
And my dad said the same thing to me. He was a salesman for 40 years, and he said to me, he said, "Look, you don't want to work for somebody else." He's like, "Whatever you're gonna do, just go do it for yourself."
Yeah, yeah.
And
He tried to say the same thing to my younger brother, but he ended up becoming a doctor anyway. So.
but I think the doctors and the teachers and even like first responders and policemen, I think they have that service mentality in their heart somewhere.
Yeah, they're definitely selfless folks, and they're built
Right.
differently. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I like when I get entrepreneurs on here and they always say, "Well, I'm unhireable. That's why I had to go into go into business for myself." And I think there's
Yeah.
some truth to that always too. So, have you found a market besides New York that looks really well so far that you're getting into, and you're like, "Wow, this could be the next. We could, pop 30 or 40 of these things open in this market."
Yeah, so we're looking in the tri-state area. We actually did a recent brand survey, and what the brand survey showed us was that we're as popular or more popular than some of our competitors that have over 1,000 locations. So we're looking to get into our, the tri-state area, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and kind of going across the eastern border, up and down the eastern border. That's really where we think, we can make a huge impression.
Now, when you open up the the stores inside of somewhere, are you opening them up inside of convenience stores, inside of us? Like,
No, these are brick and mortar locations.
okay, so you're kind of done with the opening them up like inside other places?
Correct. Yeah. Once that's something that I did once I took over the brand. We kind of stopped that model completely. We stopped the express co-branded model.
So what's your footprint, like your ideal footprint then?
Our ideal footprint is 800 to 1,200 square feet. We're both
Mhm.
for, as I mentioned before, takeout, and delivery.
No tables at all?
We have some tables. We do
Okay.
have some tables. Yeah.
And then have you found that online ordering is a big deal for you?
Yeah. So folks are ordering more and more. Folks I think are ordering online, and we're investing a lot more in technology and trying to get our own applications such as Domino's, and they've invested millions upon millions of dollars, and they saw this coming, and they did amazing with it. So I think you know everyone has to take a look at technology and getting that implemented into their restaurants.
Domino's to me, that was definitely my favorite of the two, Papa John's and Domino's. But I think there was a change where Domino's almost really went to being a tech company. If
Yeah,
you look at all the different things that they've done, but I mean the just look at their stock price and see how well they've done. But I think
exactly.
yeah, they were a great place to work for, and they really seemed like they wanted to be on that cusp of the next thing. When um, the other companies were trying to figure out how to make a pepperoni pizza different, they were worrying about how do we streamline online delivery. And this is
Yeah.
back in the early 2000s. I think they've done a lot of great things.
I remember growing up, and it was Pizza Hut and Domino's were neck and neck, and it was, hey, do you want to, after you played basketball, do you want to have, a pie of pizza, sit it down with the family, and go to Pizza Hut, or you want to have it delivered to your house through Domino's? And you look at where the two companies are today, and it just shows you, Domino's has blown Pizza Hut out of the water, and I really think that's where you know we're headed, is just that takeout delivery model, especially in times like this, in the pandemic like this. The big boxes, even in our space, the Buffalo Wild Wings, the Hooters, the Twin Peaks of the world, you know I don't think they fared as well as the folks that were nimble and kind of built for takeout and delivery.
Yeah, being that I've always been in the pickup and delivery game, I guess, the restaurants that I happen to buy, they have about 150 seats in each one. But I never got rid of delivery because that's what I knew the best. So I didn't see the point of getting rid of it. And I was really glad during COVID that we're built, like you said, we're built for pickup and delivery. We just happen
Yeah.
to have a restaurant, is what it comes down to. But who would you say your biggest competitors are in the takeout and delivery wing sector?
So Wingstop has just started to get into delivery, but they're our biggest competitor. But we have Wings Over as well. I believe Wingstop, Wings Over, those guys are our strongest competitors.
I think that's always, what drives me is the competitors. I always think that it's good to kind of know who your competitors are and kind of gear yourself to be different from them. What have you done to separate yourself from your competitors?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned one of the things we've done is we've kept our product fresh, never frozen,
Yeah.
and wings are wings, right? And I rather be in the flavor business and become the flavor king, as opposed to being the wing king, and that's what we're always looking to do. We're looking to come out with exciting new flavors. Um, Fairly soon we're going to have two new flavors that are going to be launched and backed by some celebrities, which I think is really cool, and I think people will love it.
So our wing prices went way down. We sell a good bit of wings between the restaurants. Probably, I would say we're probably between 5 restaurants, somewhere around when we're in full swing, somewhere around like 80 to 100 cases a week.
Okay.
20 plus at each store. So we saw a good bit.
Yeah.
The wing prices were like cut in half. Were you lucky enough to get some of that in New York City?
Yeah, we were. We actually were. They've unfortunately crept back up now.
Yes, they have. Yeah.
But yeah, they fell pretty far, and now they've gone back up. So
Yeah.
it was short lived.
Yeah, it was very short lived,
Yeah.
But I was even offering them up to my family. I was like, hey, if you want to buy some wings and have them for a while to cook at your house, now's a good time,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, have you thought of expanding your menu even farther than the chicken sandwiches, or you think that's chicken sandwiches, wings, and the fresh
Yes.
nuggets and
Yeah, so I think being that we're working out of smaller spaces and we want to be as fast as possible, we don't want to expand the menu out too far. We've noticed that a lot of quick service restaurants are actually consolidating their menus. Not really expanding. So we don't want to go out too far. We kind of want to keep it simple, a simple process where our staff can create the meals in a timely fashion.
do you have salads as well?
We do.
French fries?
French fries, yep. Our waffle fries.
Gotcha. So once you see how everything's working as far as um, the franchisees that you have now, is there incentives that you offer them for opening more stores?
So I think one of the things I've learned being a franchisee um, is to keep the costs down, and we don't burden our franchisees with crazy construction costs. So as opposed to, let's say, a bigger brand where you have to invest for construction 600 to $700,000 of your money, and it takes several years to get that money back. We're much lower than that. We're anywhere from 150 to 300,000 to build out a store. So you're able to get that money back a lot faster in an average performing location. So I think that's incentive enough for folks to kind of open more locations.
And what could you tell somebody who might be listening that's thinking about starting their own business, or they're in a business, they're not sure if it's the right one for them, and they're wondering if they should go out and do it themselves or if they should um, join a franchise. Like, what can you tell somebody going through that thought process? I think that's a good question because a lot of times sometimes people know what they want to do, but sometimes it's like, hey, they know they want to work for themselves, and then they're trying to find a franchise. I've seen different people where they knew it was time for them to go and buy a franchise, but it was like, do they buy a hair cutting salon franchise? Do they buy a wing franchise? Like, how do you, like, if somebody was to call you, how would you walk them through that?
So the way I'd walk through it, it's kind of a risk reward, or how much time do you really want to put into it? If I told you, hey, go out and create 14 unique flavors and do all the research necessary and spend all that time to create these flavors and test it on customers to see if they really like these flavors, you would think, oh man, that's a lot of work, you know, or creating a recipe manual as well. So there's a lot of coffee shops, right? But how many of them do as well as Dunkin' or a Starbucks? Um, you know, Other than that, I would think, it's going to cost you whether you're a franchise or not. Your construction costs are going to stay the same. That's just how it is. You need to build out a restaurant. You need to put in the proper gas lines, to put in the hoods. Your construction costs are going to remain the same. What you're getting in a franchise is you're getting your backbone. Basically you're getting the marketing, the PR, and everything that's associated with them. So you're getting that free advertisement from the franchisor. You're also getting your bulk volume discounts from distributors. So you may not be getting the same price on wings that I'm getting. And the reason for that is you're a mom and pop shop buying, you know, let's say 10, 15, 20 cases a week, as opposed to a franchise who's buying thousands of cases a week. And, there's huge volume discounts that go into that. Also, we're doing a lot of the research for you in new locations. We're saying, this is what's worked based on our entire portfolio of locations. This is the demographics that seems to work. So a lot of the research and time has already been spent, and you're not on your own per se. And I think there's some comfort in that. I think a lot of people like that security blanket.
I think you have a unique perspective, you know, being that you've been a franchisee, now you're a franchisor. Can you walk me through what you thought when a company makes a huge giant change, like dropping donut from the name?
Yeah, I mean, you know, those decisions are made way over our heads, but
Sure.
you know, I know that they do a lot of research. They spend the money necessary to do these things, and you know, they want to pivot to something that's more profitable, and hopefully that's great for the franchisees. You know, I know coffee costs a lot less than donuts do, so you know, that's why they get paid the big bucks, and that's where our royalty money goes to. So you know, I think they're a lot smarter than I am, so it's, you know, that's just where I'm at with that.
Yeah, no, I think it was interesting because, you know, I guess being in the restaurant business, when I heard that at first, I was like, I don't get why they would do that. But then, you know, going there and then, you know, a year or two later when you go there and the menu is so much more expansive because they're not limited as a donut shop, and they can actually offer breakfast sandwiches and things that go, you know, even further in the day. And then the
Correct.
coffee that they offer, like it really was I think it was one of the smoothest transitions a restaurant has made in the last 5 years. Really, like it was pretty clever. There's a lot more than, like you said, there's a lot of research that went into it, but definitely somebody nailed that absolutely right, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Domino's dropped pizza from their name a couple years back as well.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So I think you know, there's been a lot of great conversation about the franchisees and everything that you've kind of brought to the table today. I guess the last, you know, real question topic that I wanted to ask you about was, you know, working with your brother. Like, what can you tell somebody about, you know, finding a partner, working with family? Like, I can see you chuckling, but you know, I think if you find the right, you know, if you're on
Yeah.
the same page, like, how can you just help somebody through that process? Because I think that's a unique perspective you have.
I think you have to know your roles. You have to know what you're good at, and know what you're not good at. And you know, otherwise, I mean, there's been times where we butt heads and yelling at each other and not talking for months, and it's just not healthy, you know, for anyone. And it's really difficult to work with family or friends. Everyone has their own unique ideas, their own unique personalities, and it's really tough to go forward that way. I think roles need to be established right away. Hey, you're responsible. Here's your responsibilities. Here's what you're responsible for, and kind of let them run with that. And I think that's where, you know, that's where we work great. He's really good at, you know, certain things, and I'm good at certain things, and we trust each other to do our jobs.
I appreciate that. I know my wife and I, we run the businesses together, and it's the same thing. We always say to each other, "Stay in your lane." That's
Man,
kind
if
of
you're
our.
not talking to her for a couple of months, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, communication's key in all things. That's for
Yes,
sure.
yes. Yeah.
Zach, if somebody wants to open up an atomic wing, where can they go?
They can visit our website, www.atomicwings.com, and click on the franchising tab.
Great. Are there any particular areas that you're really, you mentioned tri-state areas, or anywhere else that you're really focused on?
We're focused nationwide at this point. We're looking to expand all over America and bring our great flavors to everyone. And, you know, wherever someone's interested, they can reach out, and we'd be more than happy to talk to them if they're the right fit.
Great. Now's the time we solve the equation for Zach's success. This is where I ask you 7 rapid fire questions to solve the equation. We're looking for the keys to your success. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Okay. Best seminar or teaching you've ever been to?
Best, Tony Robbins.
Favorite item you bought recently under $100?
Hmm. I'd say a playmat for my daughter, who's 4 months old, because now she leaves me alone.
Awesome. Name an idol or hero of yours that you met in person.
Muhammad Ali.
Favorite book to give as a gift?
Favorite book, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Something you do every morning before you brush your teeth?
Well, now it's a lot different, but I just had a 4-month-old, so I watch her stretch. It's really great.
That's awesome. Your personal mantra or favorite quote?
It would be a Muhammad Ali quote, and I'm probably saying it wrong, but it goes along the lines of the pebble in your shoe. I really forget it. I have it written down somewhere, but it's one of my favorite quotes. Unfortunately, I can't remember right now.
Awesome. I know there's a lot, for me, there's a lot of things that you can translate sports into the restaurant business too. Do you find that? Yeah.
I'm really huge into sports, and that's one of the, I played basketball in high school, and I think it's a driving force in business as well.
Absolutely.
It's that competitive nature.
And the last burning question we have here, a rapid fire question: place you go to decompress and reset?
Place I go is the man cave, where down in the basement, and have my a little gym out down here where I can work out and just think and be alone at times and try to get the creative juices flowing.
So I guess we got to ask the extra bonus question when we get a guest on sometime. It's from New York, so are you Jets or Giants?
Oh, Giants.
Mets or Yankees?
Mets, unfortunately.
And do you still root for the Knicks?
I root for them. I stopped watching them, but I root for them.
Sounds great.
They've made bad pick after bad pick.
Yeah, it's been a rough one.
Rough. Yeah.
Zach, I really appreciate having you on the show today. Thank you so much for everything that you brought to the show, and really appreciate your time overall.
I appreciate being on. Thank you.